Welcome to the Game Time Tech Podcast. I'm Melody Brue with more insights and strategy. I am here with my co-host and partner in our sports technology vertical, Robert Kramer. We are super excited today to have IBM's Kevin Farrar. He is head of sports partnerships in the UK. This is the Wimbledon Partnership Executive to the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Kevin has overall responsibility and accountability for ensuring that IBM's investment in UK sponsorship partner properties is maximized, supporting client business objectives through IBM's consulting and technology. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. We're excited to have you. So in this edition of Game Time Tech Podcast, IBM serves new generative AI features at Wimbledon. So we're so excited to have you here for many reasons. One, we're tennis fans. You can see we're dressed in our tennis whites. I will be there with you at Wimbledon next week. I'm very excited about that. We also started with, we did one of our podcasts with one of your counterparts from across the pond at the IBM at the Masters just a couple of months ago. So this is now kind of becoming a little bit of a series. So really fun for all of those reasons. But let's start just with your role at IBM and kind of your involvement in the upcoming Wimbledon tournament.
So I'm delighted to say that IBM have been partners with Wimbledon since 1990. So this is our 35th year of partnership and collaboration. And I've worked on the championships for over 10 years now. But I've had this main role in charge of the operation since 2020. I came in at an interesting time, which was just after the cancelled championships. But fortunately, I had worked on the project, showing our clients around behind the scenes, telling our story, telling our tech story for the previous 8 years. So, it's a fantastic opportunity for us to showcase our technology and consulting capabilities in the context of this beautiful setting. I'm here with I've got my strawberries, I've got my pin. Well, it's not pins, it's a little early for that. But it's a wonderful setting and it's a real privilege to be involved in something so iconic.
You know, your backdrop is fantastic. I was actually at Wimbledon about 30 years ago, so the strawberries and cream are still, present today. But IBM has had a significance in sports for a long time, and so with the All England Club, and you being there for about, you said 19 years working with it. What are you most 30 years? Okay, 30. What are you most excited about this year? Because why is this year any different than the last 30 years?
So what we try and do each year is push the boundaries of innovation and technology, while at the same time getting that balance right between that tradition and heritage and the tech and innovation. So we're rolling out a new feature for this year, something called Catch Me Up. This is using generative AI to tell stories about players, your favorite players. So each time you go into wimbledon.com or the official apps, you will see new content right there on the home screen. That's a little snippets, short form content that tell stories about the players that you want to follow.
That was actually one of the features that really kind of caught our eye. And we were wondering, so one, how was this feature developed? And then there's so much data that has to be gathered and aggregated for that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is building on a generative AI solution that we rolled out last year, which was adding narration to our highlights reels post-match. And what we wanted to do this year was kind of widen the aperture and create content that's ahead of the match as well as post-match. And so the way that we have done that is that we're using IBM's watsonx AI and data platform. And we are using one of our foundation models called IBM Granite. watsonx has a number of foundation models that serve different purposes. And so we pick the one that's best for our particular use case. In this case, it's to create this short form narrative stories about players. So we train that Granite model in the language of tennis, in the language of Wimbledon as well. There's some specific nuances of Wimbledon, such as it's the ladies' draw and the gentlemen's draw rather than the men's and the women's. So all of this is part of the training of the model. We do use a lot of data. It's a combination of structured data, so the stats that we collect, players' match results, etc., and unstructured data. So news articles, social. There's a lot of different feeds we take in terms of data, all trusted data sources, making sure that then we train the model to the Wimbledon editorial guidelines, because we want to make sure that the output is aligned to Wimbledon's brand and that tradition and heritage. Of course, that's really important. And once we train the model, we then use that to each day of the tournament and throughout the tournament and throughout each day of the tournament as the matches unfold. We are creating this content at scale and personalized so that you're reading the stories that you want to see.
But that's super interesting, and especially how you're using this enterprise technology as a vehicle in the sports experience. You talked about the Granite models, and these are, LLMs. How far back do you go with this structured and unstructured data, and what are the sources of that data? Meaning, like, is it global tennis? Is it going back to the childhood days of these players? How does it aggregate all of that information, and does that influence, and this is not really something that we've talked about before, does that influence the odds of these players actually winning? Does it aggregate that far? What do you think?
So we have data, the statistics for matches going right back to 1990 when we started our partnerships. Obviously, the richness of the data has grown year on year, and so now we collect something like 2.7 million data points over the championships fortnight, and we've got tens of millions of data points going right back in history. So that structured data we can draw on, and that's part of creating that narrative, those stories. We can feed in that information. And then there's obviously the more recent data, which is match results, etc. And then the unstructured data is, as I said, news articles. It's taken from trusted data sources like Sports Radar, yep. And that enables them to feed, and then that data is all combined, and that is what creates the content and the stories that we're putting out there through this Catch Me Up feature.
Fantastic. So how do the Wimbledon sports partnerships actually highlight IBM to the public and to its customers, in a sense, demonstrating how it adds value to the sport and how it translates to actual business use cases?
So everything that we showcase here at Wimbledon is relevant to our customers as well, our enterprise customers. So data, insights, statistics, analytics, security, cloud. We're doing some work on sustainability this year, and not just and AI, of course, and generative AI, but also our capabilities around consulting. So garage method, agile, design thinking, all of these capabilities we use, because we not just work for Wimbledon during the championships, but all year round as well. We have an innovation process that uses that consulting method, garage method, to design these experiences. So looking at the data that we have at our disposal, and then looking at the capabilities of watsonx, for example, that's obviously something we're leaning into a lot here and using the Granite model. Design those experiences to be tailored and personalized for the different types of fans, because different fans consume content in different ways. We want to make sure that we're designing experiences that match that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we find most interesting with the Game Time Tech podcast is the way that we can highlight how things that you see in sports actually can mirror what companies can do for businesses. So it's a really fascinating way to see, just watching your favorite sport, you can actually see what IBM can do for their customers. So that's
that's key to what we do. Absolutely, it's bridging that gap between what we do here and then how that can fit for the enterprise use cases.
Yeah, and it's so much more interesting than just slapping a logo on something and saying, "Oh, IBM is sponsoring this." It's actually you're in there with the technology, really doing things, driving some really engaging experiences. I think that's the most fascinating part of it. So with the capabilities of Granite and watsonx driving so many of the experiences, it seems like the sky is kind of the limit in terms of what IBM can bring to sports fans. So in like your wildest dreams, what's the next ideal experience you would like to see IBM deliver?
So data is at the heart of everything that we do. And I've talked already about the structured data, unstructured data, but we're always looking for new sources of data. So with Granite, it's a large language model, but there are other models, multimodal models that can also take content and create and capture data from video, from images, etc. So I think that opens up some really exciting possibilities as well. When we start to draw additional data points from video and images, as well as language and articles, etc., I think that will enable us to gain new insights, and from those new insights we can create new experiences, both for fans, but also I think we could potentially uncover a lot for the players and coaches as well as commentators, journalists, etc.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of the more data we can uncover and make sense of, and use that as the foundation for creating these experiences, I think that opens up lots of exciting possibilities in the future.
Yeah, it's really amazing how far we've come with this data story and how that has influenced, the technology in sports so much. But we're looking forward to this year's. Well, just as a note, who are you looking forward to winning this year? Men's
I was
singles, women's singles.
I was very fortunate last year to catch some of the action on centre court for Alcaraz, and I would love to see him retain his title. I think there's a lot of new players coming up. Obviously, we're kind of at a time of a shift from the old guard into the new guard, and that's something else that we want to get through the experiences we're creating as well, is to create this content about some of the players that are upcoming. So that fans can engage with those players in new ways and learn about them and kind of experience. One of the things we want to do through our digital platforms is bring the excitement, drama, and the beauty of Wimbledon to life for digital fans around the world. If you're lucky enough to get a ticket to come here, you can experience it firsthand, of course. And we bring our experiences to life on site as well as through the digital platforms. But we want those digital fans around the globe to have that sense, that feeling of being here without being here. So Alcaraz for the men's, I think it would be great if he retained his title. The ladies, I think, is trickier. I think it's wide open, and it'll be interesting to see how that pans out over the fortnight. So I'm not going to call that one. Alcaraz, I'd love to see win the men's singles again, but we shall see.
Yep. We got a great couple weeks coming up. Mel, you'll be on site, and we'll have to myself wait until next year, but we'll be actually on site at the US Open in a few months, and hopefully this technology and more will be showcased there. Anything else you want to say about the experiences and the technology coming soon at Wimbledon?
As I said, we work with the Wimbledon team all year round to look at the future, kind of trying to guess where we can be in 3-4 years' time. But it is a challenge, of course. We don't have a crystal ball. Nobody was talking about generative AI 2-3 years ago, and now look, we're the heart of our experiences are around generative AI. So I think, as I mentioned earlier, as we uncover new data sources and are able to create new insights, I think that's the challenge that the team has, is to create memorable experiences and more personalization. I think that's key as well. So if we can design those innovative experiences, personalized to different fans around the world, and localized as well, to looking at things like local language, etc. I think that's the direction that we're heading in.
Wow, that was cool. What a treat.
It's absolutely amazing how IBM's grabbing so much data from over the years and aggregating it for the fan experience. It's extraordinary how the technology is in play this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it live there as well. And I also really love that we've been able to kind of follow this journey. Like you said, who knew generative AI was going to kind of be on the scene, and they've been able to really jump on that and really make it part of everything that they're doing with the fan experience. So it's been fun to kind of follow that journey with them as well.
So one of the things that Wimbledon's known for is everybody wears these big hats, kind of like the Kentucky Derby. So are you going to get a hat to wear at Wimbledon when you're there?
Oh, I wasn't actually aware of that. Now I'm going to go shopping. What? I mean, I was all ready with my whites, but now for sure.
Take a look. Yep, that's fantastic. But I think
Awesome.
this was a great experience. And like you said, we're following the journey and seeing how the fans are utilizing some of these tools that IBM's doing, like the Masters and now Wimbledon, and we'll see the US Open coming soon. But this is great. And I'm excited for you to be firsthand on premise to get more details.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for everyone for joining us at Game Time Tech. This was IBM serves new generative AI features at Wimbledon with IBM's Kevin Farrar. And this has been a great experience. Robert Kramer and Melanie Brue from More Insight and Strategy. We'll look forward to see you next time on Game Time Tech. Thank you.